This is going to be an interesting one, man. Now then, as you can hear, this is going to be an interesting one because we have a ton of rain for this episode. Qualifying and the race for today's episode of WOR. Another league race on F1 22, this time at Imola. Now, while you watch the lap in the background, if you haven't seen the last episode, guys, go check it out. Link in the top right for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, a race with 2 safety cars and just flat out chaos. Go check it out because it was a really fun race. Anyway, if you're going to enjoy today's episode in these conditions, leave a like and subscribe for more, as I do drop daily F1 content and weekly league racing content. And here we are then, qualifying time. No, okay, there we go. In the wet, and you can see already we're up by 4/10 on a second lap. This is essentially lap 2 of a double kind of time lap stint. The first one was basically to try and get, a bit of a feeling for the track and see where it was and kind of build up my confidence. And now this one we're kind of starting to really push now and give it some true pace. So P15 currently is purple in sector 1, so really good first sector. Bit poor through there, didn't really nail it, turned in a bit too soon. Also scrubbed off way too much speed. We now make our way into Emilia, struggling to get the apex as well, but we still find time, but it isn't the cleanest of laps, so I know there's time to find. As you can see, we're up by quite a bit, especially on those around us. Over the chicane we go, bumping over the curbs, making an adjustment on the brake bias. And we're going to see if we can try and close out this lap and have a decent end to it, which would hopefully move us up the order. Into Ravazza, 4th gear, smooth on the power through here and there. Ravazza 2, smooth again on the exit, so try and get the drive for the line. And it's going to be 8/10 plus of an improvement as we jump into P9. However, everyone else improved. I went back to the pits, got another set of tyres on, and we're currently last in P19. So we need to improve, and that's exactly what we're doing. We absolutely fly over the chicane there and find a chunk of time. Also, the track is improving a little bit, so we're now 6/10 up on a fresh set of tyres, making our way into the Ravazzas yet again. We're going to find out just exactly what this lap is going to give us, as again it's looking like another 8/10 improvement as we head up to the start finish, and it's going to be, wow, on the P14. P14, and that wasn't part of what I expected. Anyway, a minute to go. This is now our last lap. Here we go then. Through Tamburello, the chicane. Nicely done through there, getting excellent drive, traction, exit on point. Now into the Villeneuve chicane at the 50, brake and turn in. Didn't get enough of the inside curb on the left-hander, but we still get a good enough exit. And we're now nailing it through into Tosa hairpin.
Good improvement.
As we get a bit of support there from my Twitch live chat. And this is looking good now. 3/10 up as we're finding time pretty much everywhere. Into 9. Again, same mistake as before. I just went in a bit too early, scrubbed off speed and actually lost time as we lose about 0.4 of a tenth into Emilia. Again, a little bit safe. Exit was okay though, so we do find a little bit of time in the end. And that was actually worth it. Into the chicane we go, bounce over the curbs, and we pretty much match it, but then I lose a little bit on the exit. Quite distracted by the car cutting the chicane, which just kind of caught my eye a little bit, and we've lost about half a tenth through there, so not ideal. Into the Ravazzas though, we try to really push, and we do find a bit more time, especially through Ravazza 2.
Ah, damn it. Let me down.
And as the Sebastian Vettel notification goes off for the Twitch sub, we have a big mistake. And yeah, real shame, because I think analysing the lap time, there was about 0.4 of a tenth, through turn 9. Probably another, I'd say, half a tenth in the chicane. Another half a tenth, I'd say, in Ravazza 1. And then we dropped to full tenths on the exit Ravazza 2. So I reckon, looking at the final order, I probably easily could have got 10th place, but a perfect lap could have got us in the top 7 without a doubt. So yeah, either way, encouraging. I'm not too mad about it. The grid's pretty close around here, top to bottom. If you exclude the bottom 2, 7/10 covering 18 cars, which is pretty insane. So work to be done in the race, but I'm looking forward to it, and there's going to be similar conditions to this one, so it should be a fun one. So let's get into it, and let's see what the race has in store for us. Is it worth a gamble? Should we start in the intermediates? Now, this was the dilemma I was looking at. If you look at the weather forecast, I'm starting, you know, way down in P17, so we should try to gamble. Why not? Let's do a bit of a Yanuotme in esports at China and just go for something different, you know. I want to go for it. Why not? Fuck it. And let's go. Let's send it and see what happens. I think it could be fun. We'll dump a load of fuel and we'll get into it. So here we go. We've got a mixture of tyres, inters and wets. And we're about to find out what happens as the lights are on here at Imola and they're out and away we go for round 11 in this season. Start wasn't the best off the line. If Leroy Brown gets the jump, I've got to turn the particles off. This is going to be a problem. On the wets, and so does Corny the backer. So early signs point towards the wets being better. No, no, no. And that was a super close shave. Somehow we just managed to avoid it. Now, back on my point just a moment ago, I forgot to turn the particles off in the graphic settings, which essentially gets rid of the raindrops on screen. This feels drivable. This feels very drivable. Normally, that's something you do in league racing to basically improve visibility and be able to drive, you know, even faster really in this situation. But anyway, that aside, first impressions seem okay. Tyre temps are not dropping, which is usually the telltale sign. I am running very high pressures for this race, by the way. Same as qualifying. The pressures were designed for qualifying. I was running about, I think, plus 3 or 4 on the front and plus 8 on the rears. Really high pressures, something that you would not survive with in the dry. And I unfortunately got so caught up with it in qualifying that I left them the same for the race. So I'm hoping the race is going to stay wet for as long as possible, if not the whole race. Anyway, we're challenging Cornet the backer here, and we're getting squeezed right to the limit at every opportunity here. And it's fair, but it's tough. Some space would have been nice. We tried to get the cutback, and again, now it looks like the intermediate actually is the better tyre. Andre Molnar looking for the move here, but I feel like I've got the pace. I'm using the battery, but Cornet's got a bit more straight line speed than me. But the intermediate seems to be working already, even in this heavy rain setting, so it could be a good decision. We go for the move again, and we get squeezed right onto the curb, and I just can't get the power down. Fucking hell, some space would be nice. Jeez. And yeah, it's all really tight and really just feisty in this situation. And just trying to not get too frustrated. Cornet messes up the hairpin as we get the cutback. It's always this guy. Always this guy. And now on the exit, you can see him sliding all over the place, struggling on the tyres. And I'm just going to try and force a move here. And he actually locks up. Get out of my way, man, honestly. All that for nothing. And yeah, that's frustrating because we just lose a lot of time with the cars ahead. And that's all because he just wanted to battle really hard for P18. Anyway, you can see we made the right decision, and we've got the right tyre on, and cars now will start to pit. A lap after lap, you'll see kind of, you know, people starting to realise and eventually box in for the inters, and we'll start clawing positions. In the meantime, we're behind Jack Humphreys, and we're going to look to get a move on him hopefully sometime soon as more cars are in, and we're only at lap 4, so...
Currently the fastest lap is at 1:26.1.
That's fast. So that gives you a bit of an idea as what the pace is. Out front, you've got essentially the two front cars, or the front two breaking away. Then P3 behind just kind of holding up a bit of a log jam as he's on the wets and basically causing a bit of a hold up. So yeah, yellow flag in the Ravazzas, and we've got a car off. That's my teammate, Mark Schluter, causing a bit of trouble. And he's actually going to box, so that will give us another place. All these issues seem to be probably overheating for, you know, those on wets who are struggling to keep the temp under control. Or at least that's what I'm assuming. Anyway, up to P15 now as more cars in. And at this point, I felt really fast, man. I felt so rapid, but it's really tough to make an overtake around here, especially without DRS. It's literally so tough. I was trying to explore opportunities. You can see here I really close in on the brakes on Jack, and that's a good opportunity to overtake as we get another yellow car off, and that's Fionn McKee in the McLaren, so we'll gain another place. And this was the one. I got a really good run here on the Williams. Fuck, man, literal parity in the straight. As you hear me say, parity in the straight as I tried to get the run, but even with the batteries on, I just can't get alongside enough to really get my nose in. So I tried to go for the cutback, switch back through the first chicane. Also, there's battling ahead as someone I think is in the wets, causing a bit of trouble.
The rain's getting lighter now, but it's going to take a while for the track to dry out.
And that's a big update as the conditions are going to improve, so the intermediate is the way to go. You can see now cars in the wet struggling as this is causing havoc, and I'm just trying to keep things clean as, you know, we're trying to avoid contact. That wasn't ideal. I was hoping to pass Jack in that sequence, but I didn't really get the job done. But we'll keep the pressure up. I feel fast, and I feel like this is my chance to strike, especially with the higher pressures. We have to make this phase of the race count, essentially. Again, lap 7.
Impossible, man. I can't give up. I'm not going to just drain my battery and leave myself on nothing, or try and wait for the slightest error and pounce. So hard to overtake here.
So that was the new change of approach, because I was starting to struggle with getting the move done, and I was running
hotter,
low on battery. So yeah, we get our first warning for track limits in Acqua Minerale, lap number 9 of this race. Also, conditions now visibly improving as the rain has switched to light rain and spray has reduced.
Okay, you're doing well out there. Keep it up. We're looking at about 10 more minutes of rain. 10 minutes. Inters look like the best tyre for now.
Now that's not ideal. I was hoping for a bit more rain. It's going to end a bit sooner than what was originally forecast before.
I'm not pushing as much anymore because of one big snap or one big bit of wall spin, and it will send my tyres into overheating, so I'm having to just manage a little bit, try to avoid sliding.
And that was kind of the issue that was starting to happen now in this race.
I don't know when F123 is going to come out. I think not too far off last year. I think the fact we got the announcement earlier just tells me we'll get it maybe a bit early this year, but I don't know. And the first trailer, I'd like to think maybe sometime soon, maybe this week, maybe next one, but I haven't heard anything yet.
10 minutes left of this rain, then we think it's going to dry up. 10 minutes.
And in the meantime, whilst we talk about F123's possible release date and also the weather forecast update, Jack makes an error, and what I said before came true.
I do not want to get any warnings in the wet because I'll probably get them in the dry.
I was going to just wait, recharge the batteries and wait for a mistake and basically pounce, and that's exactly what we got. And we're up into P10, into the points. But as I was saying before,
It's still not a perfect situation, but I don't think we got called to move on to a different tyre yet.
Well, if I can kind of squeeze the 3 together, something will happen. If I can just have a bit of a put pressure on, a bit of pressure and get the squeeze effect going.
as I was saying, if you pay attention to my tyre temps, each kind of highlight, they're gradually going up. 79, 80, 81, now 82. I'm putting the pressure on Harlem now. I'm going to try and see if I can force a move, but the track is drying, our temps are getting hot. The intermediate, when it goes above 84, is danger territory for overheating. Into turn 1 though, we're going to go down the inside. Slight bit of contact on Harlem there. Clean, fair racing though as we try to get the run again into the Villeneuve chicane, trying to get aggressive and get this move done. Up the inside we go, bouncing over the curbs, leaving space, getting the cutback on the exit, getting the drive, and now we're on the outside into the Tosa hairpin. Third gear, smooth on the power. Space given at all times, and fair play to Harlem for that one, and that was a very nice move. And we move into P9. Lovely execution there on the overtake, and we can now chase after the 2 cars ahead of us.
Just hope I don't overheat my tyres now.
And yeah, back to essentially, tyre save. You can see in the bottom right, 86 degrees Celsius.
New strategy available on the MFD.
And this is it then. This is the telltale sign.
Confirmed.
It's ready for dryers. So we're going to have to survive approx 10 laps on dry tyres, which is not going to be fun. The good thing, we don't have to go for softs. Nobody will, because it's too far to go on softs. But the mediums may still be not ideal. Anyway, you can see my right rear getting really hot as we get our second warning, which is really tough. That's going to put us in a...
Okay, I think it might just be about time to come and change these tyres.
I'm not sure, I'll hit those because I'm going to overheat like crazy, but DRS isn't enabled yet.
That second warning is going to put us in a delicate situation, because we're going to have to survive 10 laps with, this kind of situation in the race where we're going to be flirting with track limits at all times. Anyway, cars in the pits. Some cars chose to stay out. I was really tempted to go one more lap, but we'll box.
Fuck, I missed my pull away. Yeah, I might be fucked. I'm not gonna lie. I've lowered the front wing, but I'm gonna be in trouble with the temperature. I was thinking of going hard, maybe. I think I'm gonna overheat though. I think it's inevitable. I'll keep the brake pressure on 51.
Look after these tyres now. You want to finish the race on this compound.
So here we go then, back on track, cold tyres, and we're going to send it, say a prayer, and hope we can survive on these tyres without having issues.
let's just say I've got this lap to try and undercut those who stayed out, and then basically spend the rest of the race trying to hold on to the points.
Now, I didn't really realise soon enough, only halfway through the lap, but it was actually critical that I tried to get DRS on JST ahead, and I realised a bit too late, and I'm just going to miss out by about a tenth, which is a real shame. You can see we've got the gap down to pretty much 1.05, so half a tenth.
I'm trying to get DRS there.
You know, it was 1.5 when we left the pit, so we had a decent outlap, but just lacked a little bit in the end. Anyway, cars in the pits. So, let's see how this all pans out. Felipe Souza is ahead of us. He stayed up one more lap on the inters, and it's actually worked out. So, that was actually, in hindsight, a fairly decent decision, to be fair, because he could have got an extra lap's worth out of the tyres. I obviously didn't want to stay out because I was worried about my tyres overheating on the intermediate, so I just had to kind of box to avoid that situation. But yeah, Felipe, no battery, I've got warm tyres, and we've also got pretty decent straight line speed by the looks of it.
Oh, some people got some higher wings.
Yeah, we've breezed past McLaren just before the yellow flag, so very nice, important move there. And that is now 8th place for us, and could have been P7 had we been closer to J.
Right, that's it now. We're going into race management. I've got to try and get to the end without overheating. Sabrino's within the penalty window, but I'm not going to be able to keep up. I've got to try and get these tyres to the end somehow.
And literally within 3 laps, the tyres were already pushing 100, and I was fighting to keep them below 100, but it just wasn't happening. We was really struggling.
Oh, tyres are getting hotter.
As you saw there, we had a bit of a slide through the first chicane, so first signs of the tyres giving out, and yeah, this really isn't looking good.
And there it is. Inevitable. Oh, tyres just... I can feel it. It's getting impossible. Okay, this feels good. I'm actually going to go a bit more. I'll go 56. Fuck it, 58.
Now, over the remaining laps of the race, I don't know why I didn't do it sooner, but I kind of realised that running higher brake bias in the front, I knew it before, but I didn't realise just how effective it was. But I basically ended up moving my brake bias from 50 all the way to 58, all the way to the front to kind of compensate for tyre temp, and it did actually give me a bit of a break, and the rears were actually a bit better for the rest of the race, but I will admit I was way off the pace this race.
If I'd gone up to 58 brake bias earlier, maybe even 60, I maybe could have survived that. Maybe could have got P10, seeing as Harlan Marcus really struggled to pace at the end there. And he made a mistake as well. Anyway, I'll take that. I'm not too mad about it, I had fun that race, it was an enjoyable one. Oh wow, Suzu's got 3 seconds at the end.
And there we go then, that was the race, guys. I'm not going to lie, it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, and we've had a few wet races lately, and I think in hindsight, the tyre temp wasn't completely catastrophic. If I'd just gone to the higher brake bias earlier, which you kind of learn that in hindsight after a mistake. And also, I think, like I said before during the pistol window, if I'd maybe gone for the hard tyres, I would have lost places, but I would have definitely finished in the points. That would have been a safer bet because the hard tyre has a better tyre temp tolerance. I could have maybe done it. So, yeah, that's why hindsight is a wonderful thing. And even though we finished P11, I'm not mad about it. We had a really good race, really happy with it. Got some nice moves, good racecraft, and got aggressive and had a bit of fun with it. So, yeah, guys, I really enjoyed it. Hopefully you did too. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps me out. And we're back again soon, guys. The next race is China on Monday evening, so tune in for that one. And yeah, guys, I'll see you very soon. A big shout out to the members as always. Check out the 2 videos on your screen, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care, and it's goodbye from me.